If you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, but are hesitant to start from scratch, franchising might be the perfect option for you. With a proven business model, instant brand recognition, and ongoing support, franchising might be able to create a faster path to success than starting a business on your own. So come back and join me for episode 58 as we interview franchise owner Emily Gray, who not only shares her story, but also valuable insights as to why franchising might be the way to make your business dreams come true.
Are you a strong, independent woman who's passionate about her career? Then this podcast is perfect for you. Based on her book, The Career Woman's Secret Playbook, career coach DrDawn shares the kind of insider secrets you can only know if you've hired, fired, and promoted employees over the past 30 years.
Ladies, I'm on a mission to help busy women just like you create a career and life you love without sacrificing your work-life balance to get it. Come join me as we inspire and motivate each other only as women can and have lots of fun along the way.
With DrDawn's tools, strategies, and action steps, you can unleash your personal and professional power in a whole new way. Here's today's episode.
Welcome, everyone, to the Career Woman's Secret Playbook podcast. I'm your host, DrDawn, and today I am thrilled to introduce Miss Emily Gray, the powerhouse behind Chicken Salad Chick here in Central Arkansas. Emily has not only been named 2023's Power Woman by Arkansas Money and Politics magazine. But you guys, she just got named. In fact, this is breaking news because she's announcing it here first on our pod. Best Woman-Owned Business in Arkansas by the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. I am so proud and so excited that she is here. She is an inspiring example of what it means to be not only a community leader, but also a successful businesswoman. Emily, welcome to the show. Like I said, I'm so excited to have you be part of our monthly motivation series. This is where we highlight women who are really making a difference in our community. So Emily, welcome to the show.
DrDawn, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be on here and speaking with you because you are such a role model to me. And so I'm so glad to have this time with you. Thank you and for your very kind words.
Very well deserved. And thank you. Thank you. You guys, you may not know this, but Emily and I actually have had the privilege of really getting to know each other this year. We're both active in our community. So she's actually a member of my local Business Networking International chapter. You've heard me on the podcast before talk about the power of networking. So she and I are both part of BNI and also our local Chamber of Commerce. But she is involved even more so with other organizations that I'm sure she'll talk about here in just a little bit. So I'm excited to have her here with us, not only as an example of being that successful business leader, as I mentioned, but also as a dear friend. So it's always a win-win for me when I get to interview folks that I not only admire, but know personally. So again, Emily, I'm just so happy that you are here. Now, you guys, we're going to get started right away by learning a little bit more about Emily's journey to entrepreneurship. You might recall that in our last monthly motivation, where I interviewed Kimberly Brock, that interview was all about how to start your own business. And what I think is unique about Emily's story, and you're going to learn so much from her, is that she's going to give us an example of another way to start a business. In other words, franchising, where you don't have to start from scratch, right, Emily? You have the support of a national company behind you who knows already everything that you need to do to start that successful business. So I think her story is really going to inspire you to consider that if it's something you've never considered before. So Emily, let's actually begin there. Let's start with your journey. Number one, what inspired you to get into the franchise business? And number two, why Chicken Salad Chick?
Okay, well, those are great questions, and I'm so happy to be able to share about franchising. So I think it's a great opportunity for women and people who want to be in business for themselves. So, growing up, my father is a business owner, and I always just looked up to him and learned so much from him. The way that he was able to make decisions and have such authority over his own life and what he was able to do day to day, year to year. And so I always very much looked up to him. He is in natural area restoration and management. So totally different space than what I'm involved in, but still very much the motivation for me to want to be a business leader at some point in my life. So it so happened that I was able to come to Chicken Salad Chick because it opened first in Auburn, Alabama, which is where I was going to school. I went to school for psychology. I needed a part-time job, and I found a job at Chicken Salad Chick, which was started by Stacy Brown in Auburn. She was a single mom who did create this concept in her kitchen, which is an amazing story everyone should go listen to also. I worked with them and I loved the business. I never thought about being in restaurants or food, but I never felt like I was really in restaurants or food. I felt like I was in the people business because we were making people happy every day. And Stacey had created an incredible work culture. And that's what I really loved about it. So I actually pursued my education through my master's in education. I was a teacher for a year and I love teaching. I love mentoring, pouring into young people. I taught secondary social studies. But it was not necessarily a great workplace culture, unfortunately. And I thought about, okay, Emily, you're waking up every day and you're not enjoying what you're doing. What were you doing when you were happy? And I remember Chicken Salad Chick and how positive everybody at work was. So I called Chicken Salad Chick back to say, what options are out there for me. By the time I had called back, Chicken Salad Chick was built to about 60 restaurants. And they were needing corporate trainers, people to go to different cities across the Southeast and teach people how to open up a chicken salad chick. And I was like, well, you can get, combine chicken salad and my education background. That was perfect. Like, what a calling. So that's what I did for 3 years. And again, the wheels were kind of turning in my head that I wanted to go into business for myself. So I was like, okay, what does that look like for me? And you figure out what your big goal is and you think about scaffolding or kind of chunking what you need to do along the way to achieve that. And I thought it would be a several year plan. I would probably have to move really far away to, open a franchise way out west somewhere or something. But, just kind of always had that as my motivation. And every day I would go to work and treat the restaurants. I said, what would I want to do if I owned this place? So, again, I mean, it's by chance. I think it's also by how we do work and connections you make that are meaningful. But franchisee from South Alabama named Hudson happened to call me, and he had loved working in the brand so much and being a franchisee. He wanted to open a market of 5, and corporate suggested Little Rock to him. And he said that, my name popped in his mind because I had worked with him in his owner manager training and I'd helped him open some of his franchises. So he and I were able to work together to partner on the Little Rock market. And I moved over here in 2020 to open up these restaurants. So anyway, long story short, my dad is my motivation for wanting to lead a business. And then Chicken Salad Chick is just absolutely what I found in Auburn. And I have to say it's the people and feeling like you're contributing to something bigger than yourself is what really drew me to working with this brand.
I love that. And you're right. The brand itself is an inspiring story, and much less your journey to getting there, right? If no one has heard that podcast interview, right, Emily, that's actually on the chickensaladchick.com website. The founder, I think it was the podcast, How I Built This.
Yes,
And
it
it's
is.
an inspiring story of a woman-owned business. I think at the time, she only needed to make something like, what, $500 extra a month to make ends
Yeah,
meet. And you
yeah.
guys, Chicken Salad Chick, as of last year, grossed over $75 million, and it's on track to be in the top 5 of the fastest growing franchises. And Emily gets to be part of that and part of its mission and vision. I also love, Emily, that you talked about not only your father being your inspiration. I look up to my parents too and just can't imagine being where I am without their support. But the fact that you got to see firsthand that it was possible. And then also through your connections and building those relationships, partnering with the gentleman you mentioned, Hudson. I want to remind our audience that sometimes opportunities will come your way if your reputation, in other words, your brand, right? In her case, her work ethic, and because she had worked so hard and had done such a good job, and that got noticed. So that was on the radar. And as she mentioned, her name kind of popped in his head when he was thinking about who would I want to partner with to be a co-franchise owner and lead the way in Arkansas. And because she had already established that brand, right? It became then an opportunity that, right, Emily, you weren't even
Yeah.
thinking along those lines at that time.
Right. It was a long-term goal for me, and I never thought I would come to Arkansas, which I'm very grateful I have, and I love it here. It's home now. But that was yeah, absolutely. It was not, this was not what I was working towards. And I never dreamed I would have the opportunity to open 5 or 6 restaurants. I was thinking, what's Emily going to go do in 5 to 10 years with one restaurant somewhere? So, absolutely, yeah, you never know who you meet, what impressions you leave, and so that's so important. Absolutely. Hmm.
Absolutely. And for the listeners out there, if you guys heard not this previous podcast episode, but the one before, we talked about the importance of branding. Well, Emily, thank you so much for sharing that part of your story. So that leads me to my next question. What were the challenges that you believe you faced in kind of transitioning? You mentioned being a teacher, and that was great, but it wasn't necessarily your calling. What would you say would be the biggest challenges you faced from transitioning from your previous career to now owning and then expanding a franchise?
Hmm. Hmm. So, I mean, there's a list of challenges, and of course, as you know, and encourage me, there are opportunities, right? And we're growing, and if we're not experiencing a little pain or discomfort, we're not growing and we're not getting better. So we always welcome opportunities, and we learn from all of them. Um, but overall, I would say that, especially in growing and scaling a business, we have to be able to delegate, and not just delegate, but really learn how to empower the people who work with us so that they take ownership of whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's our just systems and processes or a promotion or a program, or earning the designation of a training restaurant and helping really engage in training our new leaders. I cannot do it all. Also, I do not have all the answers. And so being very vulnerable with your staff, being transparent, and then, balancing caring for them and also holding people accountable. And so I do not have a magic wand. I do not have all the answers. I think being aware of that is really important, and just being humble enough to go and find mentors to help you, to find resources like DrDawn to help you. And then truly, letting your team take the lead and take charge of things and feel good about it for themselves. Because again, yes, we know we can do it the right way, but if our world is just what I can do, it's very, very small, and we're limiting ourselves. So, make sure you give the knowledge, tools, and resources to your team so they're able to grow and develop. And then when you do that, let them go with it and kind of set, parameters, and we're all strengthened by each other when we're able to do that as leaders.
Absolutely. And you guys, everything that she mentioned about leadership, man, isn't that true? Isn't it wonderful to work with a leader who admits that they don't have all the answers? Number one, I want to thank
Yeah.
you on behalf of all leaders. Emily, they need to learn that lesson, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's self-imposed. As someone who's been a manager herself for many years, I can tell you sometimes it's self-imposed. And I think
Mhm.
women in particular feel that they have to do everything perfectly. Remember, ladies, it's progress, not perfection. Your staff will appreciate, just like Emily's staff does, and I know her staff personally as well. And they appreciate the fact that she is the first to admit, hey, I don't have all the answers, but together we're stronger as a team. That's how come you guys, as cheesy as it sounds, when they talk about, teamwork and team building, there's a reason companies spend millions of dollars on professional development. It's because they know if you invest in your staff, it makes a difference. So notice that she's talking about empowering her team. You don't have to be a supervisor right now in your current job to feel empowered. Now, you may not be working with a boss who's as forward thinking as Emily. if you're not, and you're unfortunately working with one of those micromanagers, just do everything you can to be empowered yourself and to bring those issues to the forefront. Right, Emily? Sometimes managers don't realize how they're coming across, and what they're saying may be coming across differently than the way they would mean for it to come across. So sometimes it's just a matter of improving that communication between the management, in her case, the actual franchise owner, because she's got managers who are then running the stores for her. So think about that, you guys. If you're a franchise owner, you're going to have to be able to empower your people. And here's another big thing: you're going to have to let go,
Mhm.
because she
Yeah.
cannot be at all of her locations. Now, I mentioned that she has opened several locations in Arkansas. I do want to mention that her first store was so successful, and her stores continue all across Arkansas, continue to be very successful. But I want to go back to that for a minute, Emily, because if you had not had success with the first location, I presume it would have been that much more challenging to feel confident to open multiple locations. And because she has opened so many locations now in Central Arkansas, again, you guys, she's created job opportunities for folks. She's helped kind of expand the brand awareness as well. I didn't really know about Chicken Salad Chick until one opened nearby where I live. Okay. So could you speak to that? What would be your recommendation if someone was to get into the franchise business, let's say? I would presume it would be a risk to want to open a lot of locations all at once. So what advice would you give to women who might be interested in looking at the franchise business, in terms of maybe starting with one, seeing how that's going, and then taking what you've learned and use that to open additional locations?
So it's a really interesting question. And again, my only experience, I was a teacher for a few years, and otherwise, my professional experience is with Chicken Salad Chick, either as my first job in college or to where I am today. So I certainly have a viewpoint on that. And I also know that there's a lot of information and a lot of experience for other people with franchises. So as Chicken Salad Chick is growing, we're at 276 locations now. And I actually think I heard that we have done over $250 million in revenue this year across all of the locations. Yeah, it's
Wow.
amazing. So it's becoming a much larger company today than when I started in 2011 or when I went back as a trainer in 2017. It's just incredible. Um, there are people who are able to come in and open one, two, three, four restaurants in a year. Some people can open two in a month, which to me blows my mind. So, but those typically are people who are coming from other franchise backgrounds. And to me, the beauty of Chicken Salad Chick is they're still able to cater to franchisees from any previous background. So obviously, I was not a business owner before I engaged with Chicken Salad Chick, and they're very good about helping you through every step of the process, from site selection to the build out to then your marketing for grand opening, and then, of course, your operations. So it's really impressing me that they are able to have such a variety of franchisees. But absolutely, if your first one's not successful, you would want to pump the brakes on, opening your next restaurant, your next restaurant. One thing I've learned from Hudson, my partner, who I'm so grateful for as another mentor and someone who is really great about giving me feedback and has experience, is he noticed with another concept he's involved in is kind of the 3 year mark. So, when you're brand new, you're usually really busy because you're new and everybody wants to come support you and check you out. And then it kind of drops off, as it does, because the new wears off. And then when you kind of hit the 3 year mark, he says, is like, do you see your sales going back up? Is this a reflection of you've built a great brand and you've established a great reputation and now you're a true partner of your community and people are supporting you? Or are people like, oh no, we've given it a try and it's not going so well? So I think that's really interesting. And also it helps you when you're in year two and you're like, gosh, I'm not as busy as I was in year one. But it's like, what are you doing today to make sure you're taking care of everyone so they want to come back and you see that growth later on? Now, again, that's Chicken Salad Chick, and that's me and Hudson. And there are a lot of other ideas out there and methods that work. A really important part of Chicken Salad Chick is we have an X amount we're supposed to spend on marketing. And the model has been that you will make that much in sales on grand opening day if you follow their methods. So they believe in a really big grand opening to get a lot of people in, a lot of people exposed to it, that brand recognition, hoping that then you maintain sales. And of course, Chicken Salad Chick, except the COVID episode, has really seen a year after year growth in sales. So obviously their methods are working. Something that Chicken Salad Chick says that I've really embraced, that's really important to me, is that you want to be the mayor of your town. So they say like get in the town, get involved, and plug into whoever you can be plugged into. And yes, you have a restaurant, but you know, what programs are you supporting, and how are you engaged and involved with your community?
Also, for folks who are maybe not as familiar with the restaurant, I had mentioned a little bit about the story. You have too, not just your own journey, but a little bit about what makes Chicken Salad Chick unique. I think an interesting part of the company's journey from the beginning to where they are today is that the owner, I mean, I think we can use this as an example of maybe where you shouldn't always take no as an answer, because the owner was actually told, and she discusses this more in that interview we referenced, but she was told it was kind of crazy to try to build a whole restaurant around the concept of chicken salad. And then, her response was something along the lines of, oh, well, chicken salad to the South is like what lobster would be to folks in Maine, or, and then I was thinking, Emily, how crazy it was that she was told that. And it was difficult for her to get loans and things like that to get started because, think about the fact that we have a pizza parlors. It's always just pizza. It may have a couple of things to go with it, but it's same with a coffee house, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure Starbucks, when
right.
they try to explain, we're going to charge $7 for a cup of coffee, people are like, what? But it was the experience and all the things that go with it. So could you just briefly, and then I'd like to get back to your actual story, but just so that people know that it's not just chicken salad itself, although the varieties of the chicken salad, you guys, is amazing. And she's personally named them after people she knows, which I think is incredible. But now you guys have additional things that you're selling as well. People may not know that you also cater. So if they don't have time to go get lunch, maybe they need a box lunch or catering. So could you speak to that along with what you have going on right now? Because we want to talk about Chicken Salad Chick and their foundation and giving back,
Yeah,
which is special.
yeah. Absolutely. And you're right. And it is funny that people say a restaurant on just chicken salad. And
Right?
even when I travel and I meet people, so I keep referring to the Southeast. Chicken Salad Chick, I think, is in 19 or 20 states now. We're as far as New Mexico and Colorado now. But Chicken Salad Chick leadership was very strategic about growing concentrically out of Auburn. So they went Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and then they added the Carolinas. So we very much are Southeast based, but our mission is to be America's place for chicken salad and grow across the country. And we are growing into different states. But like this weekend, I met a woman from Washington. She said, chicken chick, what is this? A restaurant of chicken salad. And we do still get that reaction. And I love that we go into new neighborhoods and communities and we're a big hit. And it's been so rewarding to watch that. But we absolutely make everything home and in-house, homemade, fresh, daily. And I think that's what sets us apart and what makes our food so good. And like I said, I
It
started
is
working
so
with Chicken
good.
Salad Chick, I know, in 2011. And people are like, aren't you tired of it? And I'm never tired of it
Oh my
because
gosh, you got so many flavors. Every month it's a new flavor.
exactly. We have 13 different kinds. We always have a seasonal flavor. Then we have these soups that are amazing. Our side items are amazing. You can either get it on a sandwich, you can get a BLT. We have these toasters, so you can get a hot sandwich melt. You can
Mm.
get a scoop with crackers. There's just such a variety that if I'm like, okay, I don't want spicy chicken salad today, we've got it with apples, grapes, and pecans, or you can have it with ranch bacon cheese. So I do just truly believe in our restaurant and the fact that everything is homemade and, most of our restaurants have drive-throughs. If not a drive-through, it's quick service. We're on DoorDash and all those different platforms. So it's a quick, casual, quick service restaurant that you're getting that's pretty healthy. Our freezers here are tiny. We don't really freeze anything. Everything is fresh, it's cooked immediately, prepared immediately, and sold. And we cook chicken every single day for that reason. So that was very much at the heart of what Stacy did. And between the freshness, the homemade aspect, and then of course the delivery with our experience and putting our guests first, that's really, I think, why we have the following that we do. So we absolutely have groups who come and eat, meet here for Bible study or women's group, or we have Rotaries that meet here, Lions clubs, because we want it to feel like someone's home. So when we train our teams, we tell them like, welcome people in like you're throwing a lunch party and we're happy they're here. And what can we do to take care of them? And, we've got carpeting on our floors because we want to feel like a home, and flowers, and it really feels like you're in someone's living room. And that's how
Right.
us as a staff want to treat it. And we want you all to feel that way. We hope you do.
And notice that she says guests. I've had the privilege this year of working with Chicken Salad Chick and doing some consulting work with them on culture and leadership. And Emily's leadership is the kind where she's smart enough to realize, hey, we have awesome culture and leadership, but we don't want to lose what we have. We want to invest in our people and take it up a notch. And you guys, it's so easy to work with a company like theirs where the culture already is so positive. As I mentioned, they won't call their customer a customer. It's a guest when you go and eat there, especially for our audience, because our audience is filled with busy professional career women. Ladies, you need talk about a ladies that lunch spot. This is the perfect spot. If you have a Chicken Salad Chick near you, you need to check it out. You literally walk in and it feels like you're at this kind of boutique. It has that kind of boutique feel. So it definitely is very welcoming. Always kind of reminds me of like almost like a tea shop type, like tea place, it just has that wonderful energy about it. And they even joke around about the fact that, in the ladies' room, you guys, this is how they take their culture up a notch. They will joke around about the fact that if a man brought you there to thank him because he's passed barbecue places and the like, to have lunch with you there. I mean, it's just wonderful to see a company that does that. That's very, very welcoming. They won't even let you pick up your own trash, you guys, because the minute you even put something down, they're picking that up for you. So as Emily mentioned, so much variety in terms of what they offer. They now also even offer desserts. They partnered with a company so they can now sell cake. And then this month, they are wrapping up a very special thing, I think, that the foundation does. Emily, if you'd like to speak to that about the proceeds of these lemon cookies, which I have mine already set aside. I'm getting those today.
Good. Well, thank you. Yes, and you'd asked me that. And so the Chicken Salad Chick Foundation is so important. And again, I said that I was drawn to this brand because I feel like I'm serving, a purpose larger than just making sandwiches or serving chicken salad. And so, Chicken Salad Chick recognizes the platform they have to serve others, to make an impact in their community. And it's in honor and was founded by Stacy Brown's late husband, Kevin Brown, who was a co-founder of Chicken Salad Chick, very much established our operations and our culture and was on the forefront of franchising, who unfortunately lost his battle with cancer. And when he was battling cancer, he established his foundation to fight cancer and fight hunger. So that's our platform. And that's what we're able to do through our partnerships in our communities. So we do a couple of things every year to support our national, drives or our national kind of philanthropic efforts. And then we also do a lot of local work. So in September, like DrDawn mentioned, is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And so we sell lemon cookies, which are delicious, by the way. And a portion of those proceeds go to a foundation called Cure for Cure Childhood Cancer. It's based in Atlanta and it helps do research and fight childhood cancer. So again, that's all in honor of the foundation. All 275 locations across the country are participating in that. And it's just really, really special. And when at our annual conference every year, we always have a representative from Cure there. And the stories that we hear, the way families are impacted, is just so moving. And to think, gosh, what we're able to do by opening these restaurants to be able to support these efforts is incredible. So that's in September. And then in December, every restaurant participates in the giving card program. So we sell a giving card. It's $5. That's a $5 donation. That $5 goes straight to our kind of kitty. In return, our guest who buys those, or maybe you can buy a bunch and give them out as stocking stuffers. But you get a free gift from us every month for the next 12 months. So things like a free cookie, a free extra scoop with the purchase of a meal, a free drink, um, a free side item, things like that. So it's a total of like a $75 value for you over the year, and you're donating $5. And so then, rather than a national umbrella foundation we give to, every chicken salad chick is able to choose a local food pantry,
Oh,
and
that's
we are able to write a big check to a local food pantry every year and make a big difference with those donations. So that's totally, guest based, but it's so fun to watch us open a restaurant one year and people don't really know about it, but maybe some people buy them. And then the next year in December, they're like, oh my gosh, when are you guys doing that again? That was such a great thing. I need 5 because I'm going to give them to all my girlfriends in the office or whatever. So it's been really amazing. And to see, in some markets like Little Rock Market or my friends, a company market in North Alabama, they really go after it and they write some really significant checks to a local food pantry to help a huge area of people. And so again, it's just so incredible that through Chicken Salad Chick, we're able to make such a difference, which I think is really special. And ultimately, as a circling back to being a business leader, I think you have to rely on being motivated by that as opposed to at the end of the day your profits, because things are going to change and things are not always going to go well, and things do happen outside of your control, but things like being able to make a difference and pour into your community is what's really going to help you sleep well, and fill up your cup, so to speak.
exactly. And I think our audience can tell. If you can't tell, you're just not listening to her enthusiasm and passion for right for giving back. I mean, Emily has a heart for that. She definitely has a servant's heart, and so does her company. And I think that's another just point I want to make to our listeners. Oftentimes I hear from women who are maybe just a little nervous about taking that leap of faith, and notice that her company and being a franchise owner allows her to just participate in so many amazing things. And again, she doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything that they do and the way that they do it is going to be time tested, because they're going to have these big marketing teams, right, that are going to
Yeah.
work on these things to see what would be successful in having a bigger reach and a bigger impact on the community, but also make it fun. Like what you mentioned in December with a $5 donation, that what, you get something free
Mhm.
every month for a year? What? I mean,
Yeah,
it's a great
right.
stocking stuffer. I definitely
Uh-huh.
need to think about that for Christmas this year. So thank you for giving us the heads up. I was already excited
Yeah.
about the lemon cookies, and I
Yeah.
didn't even know about the gift card. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really awesome.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so one thing too I want to get to, because this is also something we talk a lot about on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, is work-life balance. So, I mentioned the support that you do get as a franchise owner. However, as you can tell, Emily is a busy gal. She's not only opened a total of what we have, 4
Over there.
locations now that she is responsible for, but also all the staff, right? So as a franchise owner, the buck stops with her. So she's got general managers, assistant general managers, not to mention just the team members, right? Front of house, back of house, all of that. And then you're also, I mentioned, active in your community, but tell our audience a little bit more before we get to how do you do it all, some of the other passions that you enjoy outside of Chicken Salad Chick, because I know for a fact she just got done running a marathon, you guys. So we'll talk about that and her love of horses. And tell us a little bit more about some of your passions, because I don't want women to think you can't have, maybe we can't have it all 24/7, right? But Emily is very active in following a lot of other passions outside of her work and having great times with friends and family. So speak a little bit about other things that you love to do, because I think that's also inspiring to our audience.
Well, good. Well, I mean, this is a saying as old as time, but it's important. And I tell people this all the time, and you cannot pour out of an empty cup. And so I, like you said, I do enjoy giving back and I love mentoring and growing and developing my team. But of course, I need to make sure that I'm coming from a very, positive, good, encouraging place when I do those things. And I have to be aware that if I'm, not resting, or I'm not able to go and do something that's outside of work and kind of focus my brain on something else, that I'm not always able to do that. And so, we're not machines, and I do get resentful when people tell me that, but I am not a machine. And it's important. And also as leaders, and I don't have children, but I do think a lot of the times too, it's like, raising children, and just who are you influencing in your life? And if we're not able to say it's okay to go take that time and to not check your emails or to not answer that text message, as a business leader, we need to send that message to our leaders that we're growing and developing too, because we don't want them to get burnt out. So if we're not modeling good work-life balance, we can't expect that they're going to know what a good work-life looks like, whatever that is. So it's really, really important. Like Dr. Dawn said, I love jogging. I'm a jogger. I guess I'm a runner. I'm not very fast, but I love to
A
jog,
runner.
run, and
You've completed a marathon. You can call
yeah,
yourself a
I just
runner.
did a marathon. um, and it's fun when you travel. That's such a great passion and hobby that you can take with you literally anywhere. You just need your shoes, really, and you can go experience different towns and national parks, and just that's been so much fun, and you connect with people over that. So that's been absolutely fantastic. And it's fun too. Like in Little Rock, there's several small races here, and people love our cookies, and like what a great little snack after a run too. So as much as I say, yes, you need to have work-life balance, there are also a lot of ways that you can combine your passions. So like, okay, running clubs, they host races. How can Chicken Salad Chick be a part of that and help spread our brand awareness and also support that effort? Similarly, yes, I love horses. I ride horses. I love here in Arkansas, of course, we have Oaklawn and the horse races. So that's really important to me. And again, that's a place where that's in Hot Springs. So it's outside the community where I've got my restaurants. So I'm able to do some donations there, and also participate in a program called Quick Chicks for a Cause, where we sell quick chicks, our about 1 pound containers of chicken salad for $15. And we have a group who receives $5 for every pound we sell. We keep 10. So we cover costs. We're able to do some fundraising for a local organization, and also sell chicken salad in a community where I don't have a store. So that's kind of like a win-win on 3 different fronts. And so again, that's through my passion with racehorses and connecting to that community there. But absolutely, it's important to pour into yourself, and as much as I do it for myself, I also do need to model it for my team, like I said, because I have a lot of young leaders, and if they're like, "Oh, I just work too much, this is too stressful," I'm like, what am I not modeling for them to know that Chicken Salad Chick, where we are just making chicken salad, we're open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, we can make this work-life balance work out for us and not be too stressful. So I need to always be aware that we can make it so it's actually a great career for people with families, or really anybody, because we're not here late at night, we're closed on Sundays, we're not here at ungodly hours in the morning. You can very much have a very positive life. So that's very important to me. And of course, this was not my idea. This was Stacy, and this was Stacy and Kevin. Early on, they said, we're going to run the restaurant. The restaurant's not going to run us. And at
Love
first, they were
that.
only open for lunch. And then Kevin said, Stacy, I think we could do dinner business. So they opened for dinner, but Kevin ran dinner. Stacy ran lunch because she wanted to be with the kids when they were home from school. So that's very much an option that's out there. Now, a lot of people do it, and it looks really easy. It very much takes discipline to the process to make sure it works. But that's important. And but this is a great career for people in any kind of work life situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important. Thank you so much for mentioning that, because since our audience is, made up of professional women, we do have more and more men listening and supporting us. So that's great too. But, people do today get concerned about work-life balance. And, Emily mentioned the hours are amazing in the restaurant world. You
Mhm.
guys, seriously, the hours are
Yeah,
amazing. Having that day off, you're not
yeah,
working there late, 7 days a week, that kind of thing. So I think that's really important for women, especially because even in today's modern age, even if they didn't say have children of their own, maybe they're taking care of their furry children, right? We've got pets we may love, or, perhaps even an ailing parent if you're having to do that. So your
Mhm,
time might be stretched really thin. So
mhm.
considering careers and companies like Chicken Salad Chick, who already obviously value work-life balance, that's part of their mission and vision, is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Emily, as we wrap up, I want to be cognizant for sure of your time, but I want to give you an opportunity to give any last words of advice, particularly for our female audience who, may still be on the fence. Maybe they do want to become a business owner one day. They never really considered franchising as something that they could do. What advice would you give to women who might be thinking about it, but are still unsure about taking that leap of faith?
So I had a lot of thoughts when I ran this marathon this weekend. Alone with my thoughts for 4 hours.
Love it.
But I'm glad you asked that question because I know I do it, and I think as women, we're really prone to selling ourselves short. And so do not sell yourself short. We are capable of so much more than we think. And we have to remember that. And I feel guilty for coming to that realization. It's like, Emily, don't be, pompous, like be humble. You can be humble and also not sell yourself short. And I'm talking to myself because I'm struggling with this right now. But it's really important advice. And then figure out what the big picture looks like, right? So for me, it was like, I want to run 26.2 miles. You can't do that tomorrow. So, what steps do you need to take and what are the benchmarks along the way that you need to check in at? And if it doesn't happen as fast as you want it to, that's okay, right? Like we give ourselves grace, but are you working towards it? Do you know what they are? And I just think that's what's most important is knowing what the big picture is, knowing what it is to get along the way, and then um, if it doesn't happen in the time you think, it's okay. It doesn't mean it's no. It's just not happening in the time you think. So that was my big takeaway from my marathon that I
Yes,
think is
that's
also applicable
a
to business.
4 hours, that you said it all in a nutshell. Did not take her 4 hours to say it because listen,
Yeah.
sometimes you do your best thinking right when you're running. As a former marathoner myself, I know what that's like. And you're so right, Emily. People get so disheartened so quickly if things don't happen right away. The timing, sometimes you don't realize that, this obstacle may be there for a reason, for a
Yep,
purpose. Maybe
that's
you're
right.
just not ready now, but as she said,
Yep,
it's not arrogance to
yep,
believe in yourself, to bet on yourself, as I always say on the podcast, is never wrong. And to
yep,
just have faith that things are happening for a reason and
yep.
and take something huge like, oh my gosh, could I be a franchise owner? Could I be a
Mm-hmm.
business owner? And
Mm-hmm.
work on those manageable steps. Like
Mm-hmm.
Emily said, you cannot, your body, no matter how fit you are, could never run a marathon if you've never run a couple of miles. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just run a marathon the next day without like practically being on death's doorstep. So the same is true in our professional life. You
Yep.
just have to create a plan, action steps, and success can be right around the corner for you. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Emily, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your story with us. What's next for you?
Thank you. Well, we just opened our fourth location earlier this year, so we are just really working on getting all these stores, up and running and being able to develop our leaders here all in-house. Lots more plans to run races, which I'm really excited for. Um, and just really focus on being a great partner to our neighbors in Little Rock. So yes, we want to grow sales and yes, we want to, be a great restaurant, but more than that, we want to be a place where people think, oh, birthday dinner, let's go to Chicken Salad Chick. Oh, we want to celebrate something, we want to cater an event, and being those community partners and all the communities we're involved in. So that's going to be a big focus for me this next year, I would say.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that's what I love about your story because you are really sort of living what we're talking about here on the podcast, that you can have faith in yourself, you can be a business owner and you can still have a life outside of that. And what I love too is that you shared so many examples of where you're able to combine your
Yeah.
passions for your work, but then
Mm-hmm.
also outside of work. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just a win-win. I mean, not
Yep.
only for your business, but for you as well.
Yep. Yep.
Now,
That's
Emily,
right.
what,
Yeah. Go
what,
ahead. Well, I was just
um,
going to say, and
go
back
ahead.
to your point about your brand and all, you know, as a business owner, you're always a business owner, right? So even if you're off the clock,
Mhm.
you're still a business owner. So you never know who you'll meet, what connections you'll make, and making sure you're always putting your best foot forward is absolutely so important to find those opportunities. So not saying I work 24/7 or that it's on my brain and driving me crazy, but I think you absolutely always have to have a lens of, how could I connect my business to what I do outside of work anyway? That's important. Yeah. So
I think
another
what
tip.
she just said right there, you guys, is kind of a sign that you're on the right track. If it doesn't even seem like work, does it seem like work on some days for her? Of course. She can't be
Mhm.
managing 4 locations and not feel exhausted and want to throw a stapler at someone's head if they ask her one more question, right? And like, we all have those days, but the fact that she could be running a marathon and be thinking about something with her business, I think that's a sign. It's a universal sign that you really are on the right track, that this idea of either a business or what you're doing, even if you're working for another company and you're not the actual owner, if you
Mhm.
love it so much that you're like, oh, I just had an idea, I need to tell the CEO about this. It's showing you that you are on track, because it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like working when you're
Mhm.
out in your personal life and you
Yeah.
feel like talking about your work. Now, we're
That's
not
right.
encouraging all of you to become workaholics. Let's
Right.
make that clear, but follow your passions and you're on the right track. Now, Emily, where can people find you if they'd like to connect with you or find out more about you or your business?
Oh, thank you. Well, chickensaladchick.com. And of course, that will take you to the homepage. And we are in Little Rock. So we've got a Little Rock location, Benton, Arkansas. We're in North Little Rock, and we are in Maumelle, Arkansas. So those are our websites. All of those restaurants also have Facebook pages. So Chicken Salad Chick Benton, Chicken Salad Chick Little Rock, etc. So we'd love to connect and love to have you at our restaurants. Absolutely. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Emily, again for your time. We really appreciate you. As I mentioned earlier, you guys, she's inspiring in so many ways. I know she's not going to mind if I brag about her for a
Oh,
minute, but she is just the kind of leader I want to have on this podcast, because I really do want to support women who are leading in a way that empowers people. She leads more like a coach than some dictator, and sometimes we all have to deal with that. But I think both her and her company is just a great example of how you can find a company that inspires you. Here she was, in school, and realized how much fun she was having
mhm.
when she
Yeah.
worked there. And that led her to where she is today. So thanks again, Emily, for your time. We really appreciate you. And guys, as we wrap up, remember what we always say here on the Career Woman's Secret Playbook podcast, to remind all of us that we have a lot of control over our day. And our motto here is this: if you're not having a fantastic day, you've got the power to make it one. All right, ladies, have a great rest of your week, and be sure to reach out to Emily for any questions about her journey and also Chicken Salad Chick. You can find us, of course, the podcast on all platforms. And of course, you can also find us on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube when this comes out, be sure to give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe, share, and review. You could be a big part in helping us build our community of amazing professionals just like you. All right, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks again, Emily.
Thank you.
I know our episode is over, but this is just the beginning. If you're ready to take action but don't know where to start, just head over to DrDawnShopTalk.com for lots of free resources, ways to work together, and for even more. Subscribe to the Dr. Dawn Shop Talk YouTube channel. Remember, ladies, you don't have to take this journey alone. I've got you covered. Till next time.